look at the bracket. So up in winners finals here, we have Loco Pojo against I Read Minds. So these are the only undefeated players left in the tournament, and they will have to lose twice before they're out. So those guys are our leading candidates for being our invitational champion right now. And then down here in the losers bracket, we have Sir Rhino, Kampf Kroat, Bobbert Joe, and Toth 201, all still in the hunt.
Yeah, so we're gonna have Sir Rhino playing. Sir Rhino. Our Kampf Kroat is gonna be playing Bobbert Joe rather on that Shimmering Combry list we just saw out of him. They're going to be playing the round after this, and we are going to jump into Sir Rhino on that Felon Control list, playing Toth with his Shimmering Combry right now. And sweet, diving straight into the action here. Let's take a look at these players' opening hands.
All right, so Sir Rhino has a deck full of removal and card draw, which is usually what you want. But against the Xenon Obelisk and a bunch of units that replace themselves, that's actually not what you want. You need to put on some early pressure with the likes of Steward of the Past or Black Sky Harbinger.
Yeah.
And so this hand is actually looking better for Rhino just because of that Black Sky Harbinger.
Yeah, very true. Interesting cards in Toth's hand. Like he's got a bit of a slow start. He's got the Acolyte, the Seraph, and the Obelisk. Interesting that he has the Vanquish in his opening hand, as that is, unless I'm mistaken, a dead card in game one.
So Sir Rhino does have Champion of Cunning in his main deck. So if Toth draws multiple Vanquish, they can do something.
Yeah, but the card by itself pretty dead. Doesn't hit Steward of the Past, doesn't hit Bloodcaster, doesn't hit Black Sky Harbinger. So going to just be kind of hanging around in Toth's hand. We do see him pick up Mercen's Disciple, though, so that's going to be nice.
Yeah, Sir Rhino picks up a Lightning Storm, which is going to be really critical here because otherwise he will basically lose on the spot to his scouting party. So it's always nice to have that insurance to make sure you can keep playing against that card.
Yeah, very true. See Toth. I'm curious as to what he's going to do this turn. I have to imagine that we're going to see the Mercen's Disciple come down, making the Sandcrawler. And if he does this, I'm curious if this is going to prompt Rhino to fire off this Lightning Storm. It's not the best in the world, but sometimes you just need to take the 2-for-1 trade.
Yeah, I think you can afford to Lightning Storm here when it's your only mass removal just because of that fear of scouting party. I think it's more likely that Rhino uses Annihilate on that Sandcrawler and then Lightning Storms later on, like perhaps turn 6.
Yeah, very true. As long as the Obelisk doesn't come down, which we do see in Toth's hand, Rhino might think that he can take the out of using the Black Sky Harbinger to pick up the tokens, but it looks like he's considering that Annihilate more than anything right now.
Yeah, it's a really tough spot for Sir Rhino already. Like all of these cards that provide multiple pieces of cardboard, for lack of a better word, for one, and all of Sir Rhino's cards just kill one thing. So every single Maracen's Disciple that creates 2 units, every single Amber Acolyte that draws a power card, every single Temple Scribe that draws another card, Sir Rhino has to use a real removal spell on. So unless he can get down a clock, he just gets slowly overwhelmed, and eventually Obelisk closes the game.
Yeah, this is a very tough call for him here. That's why sometimes I feel like in situations like this, just what you were talking about, you almost are forced to use your Lightning Storms preemptively. Like it's going to feel terrible if you fire it off and like the scouting party does come up on turn 6, but by the same token, like you do need to get as many 2-for-1s as you can get with the Felon Control deck, since you are getting outvalued constantly.
Yeah, so in the end, Rhino opts for the Permafrost and leave up the Annihilate. So we'll see if Toth wants to pull the trigger on this Obelisk right away or if he wants to get down some more units first. And he decides to just go for the Obelisk.
Yeah, it gets the Obelisk down, and this is going to devalue Rhino's Lightning Storm against most of Toth's units. Anything that has above 1 health now is safe from this and is going to require real removal spells, such as these Annihilates and Death Strikes out of Rhino.
Yeah, Rhino either needs to pick up a second Lightning Strike so he can deal 4 damage to the entire board, or a Withering Witch to set all of those units' health to 1.
Yeah, and that'll be a key play of his later, is like a Withering Witch into a Black Sky Harbinger or a Withering Witch into a Lightning Storm.
All right, and now Sir Rhino is going to be super rewarded for holding on to that Lightning Storm because he's going to be able to kill the scouting party before those Yetis draw Toth a bunch of cards.
Yeah, Toth over here, a little bit of consideration. Like, I know he considered before going into the attack, so I wonder if he's going to do fire off the Seraph. And I actually like this a lot out of him. It's really respecting the fact that Rhino could be holding that Lightning Storm, and probably is.
Yeah, so Rhino just death strikes that and gets down the Black Sky Harbinger to start putting a clock on. So I think this is going to induce the scouting party from Toth because he doesn't want to play the Great Parliament yet. He wants to get to 8 power and be able to get 2 owls out of that.
Yeah, he definitely does. Although this Desert Marshal in his hand, that's actually an interesting pickup. I
Do you
almost like
doing nothing and just playing Desert Marshal to silence the Black Sky Harbinger and double block when it attacks?
kind of. Um, yeah, I kind of like that. I also, in a way, like just firing off Parliament here and just getting the 1/4/4. Like, even if you get the 1/4/4 and then you silence the 3/5, like you've at least presented Rhino a 5-turn clock that he's going to have to find a removal spell for.
Rhino, so patient. He respects the Desert Marshal. He knows that Toth must have something. A Marshal or a Scorpion Wasp doesn't attack with his Black Sky Harbinger. Just really heads up play.
Yeah, definitely a nice play from him there. And Toth, when he's holding 4 cards and he passes with 6 power, like you've got to know something's up. Like there's a Desert Marshal or a Scorpion Wasp, like you said, behind that. Like it's going to be very rare unless Toth was really flooded and full of dead cards like Vanquish that he would actually be in a situation where he would just pass a turn with 6 power.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Toth didn't use Desert Marshal on the Felon Bloodcaster end of turn because now Sir Rhino is going to be able to ultimate that. Well, I guess he has the Lightning Storm this turn, but he's going to be able to ultimate it next turn.
Yeah, and I think this is a huge mistake out of Toth. Like he played so well around the Lightning Storm for so long. Like I think at the point where he waited to fire off that scouting party, he needed to wait for 1 more power. Because if the obelisk was at +2/+2, then that Lightning Storm is dead to the scouting party since they all come out as 3/3s.
That's true. And Toth also desperately wants the 8th power now so that he can play the Great Parliament with Stand Together still up to create a bunch of 5/5 Aegis Owls.
Yeah, that will be very important for him to get there. I mean, that's kind of his win condition right now, since he's not really packing a lot. And he's going ahead and firing off the silence on the Bloodcaster here. So Bloodcaster hanging around, pretty sad, all things considered.
Yeah, I like that play a lot. Like Sir Rhino is running low on cards, so preventing him from drawing 2 new cards is definitely what you want to do.
Yeah, that play was really key there. Like he really needed Rhino to not draw any more cards there. Bloodcaster was going to be very crucial to Rhino's plan since he is running out, and he did just hit another power off the top.
All right, so there's a fine way to hit the 8th power for Toth, but I think he doesn't play Parliament this turn, so that he can still hold up the Stand Together.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. I like holding up the Stand Together. He might just fire it off anyway, but I have a feeling he's going to be a little more patient than that. Yeah, and get down that Find the Way and just draw more sigils out of his deck, thin his deck a little bit more.
Yeah, you're not under any pressure at all against just this Bloodcaster. And yeah, so you're going to be able to protect from this Withering Witch, which would have otherwise crippled your Owls.
Yeah, very true. And this is going to be interesting. Rhino's really going to have to find a way to get back in this game. And that's not really easy for him to do right now.
Yeah, he needs to find yet another Witch and yet another Lightning Storm or Black Sky Harbinger in order to do a clean board sweep. Or failing that, just draw us into a string of Felon Bloodcasters or Wisdom of the Elders, which chain into each other fairly well, and draw a whole bunch of cards so that he can afford to keep up with Toth's multi-unit from 1 card production.
Yeah, but as you said, like the Withering Witch is going to get negated next turn, and when the Owls get turned into 5/5s, they're going to be able to punch through this Black Sky Harbinger, and Rhino's going to have to find removal for these very quickly. Oh, and sorry, they're 6/6s already. Yeah, because the Xenon Obelisk is down, so they're going to be 7/7s.
All right, there's the Wisdom from Sir Rhino, so that's one. Ooh, Champion of Cunning. That's gonna be able to trade with these. We'll trade with one of the Owls and allow the Black Sky Harbinger to trade with another one shortly afterwards.
Yeah, though if he does trade, notably if he does trade immediately, the Black Sky Harbinger would only be a 5/5, so he won't actually be able to trade with the Owl that way. And interestingly enough, if he pumps the Black Sky Harbinger with the Champion of Cunning and trades the Champion of Cunning into one of the Owls, the Black Sky Harbinger will just get vanquished. That vanquished Toth has been holding dead in his hand for so long will finally be useful here.
That's true. It does turn on the Vanquish, which is going to be pretty crucial. Serrano needs that Black Site Harbinger to stabilize.
Yeah, he definitely does. And now that it's gone, Toss is going to be kicking up the pressure with the full board swing here. And the full board swing should clue Rhino in that there's a stand together hanging out.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing to block with your Bloodcaster, though. Like, it's silence. It's not going to be able to activate its ability. Trading that Bloodcaster for the Desert Marshal is fine from Rhino's perspective.
Yeah, he's definitely not too sad about that, but we'll see what attack Toth decides to fire off here, and it looks like he will go ahead and get in with everything. So Ryan's going to have to figure out how he wants to block this, and he figures that he can't actually afford to have the Champion of Cunning get sacked here. And, he very well may be right.
Yeah, keeping it around will enable this Withering Witch to become a little more of a threat. Bloodcaster's a nice pickup, but Rhino doesn't really have time to just dirtle around and draw cards now.
Yeah, that's kind of his issue right now. I think you're gonna need to. So I think what needs to happen here is, not that. Though Rhino, I'm sure has a game plan here. Ooh, that kind of helps. I think he's gonna have to block one of the 7/7s here. Obviously enough, he would die otherwise. Now that they're 9/9s, actually, he just is dead. Wow, yeah, the second obelisk pickup there.
He needed to trade the champion last turn with one of them, and then he would have been able to take care of the other one with the combination of Vara's Favor Permafrost. So he would have been able to buy one more turn, which might have been enough with Toth only having power in hand. But either way, Toth was pretty far ahead.
Yeah, he really was just far ahead, and we talked about this before the match started. This is very hard for it's very hard for Rhino to win on the Felm control deck. Shimmering Combri much more favored here. They just have so many threats.
Yeah, so Rhino just had an uphill battle this whole losers bracket, just playing against a whole bunch of burn decks, armory decks, go wide decks, like just the sort of stuff that Feln isn't equipped to handle. Like Feln is meant to beat up with go big decks or mid range decks or control decks.
Yeah, and it's unfortunately not going to find that here or in much of this tournament, really. Like, it's a hard run for Felm, but I'm still holding out for Rhino. He did it last time, unless I'm mistaken, down 0-2 or 0-1. So
Yeah.
we'll see if he can come back here again with another great 2-0 runoff. And his sideboard game plan does help out a decent bit. Having sabotages to go ahead and pull out like a lot of those scarier threats. And he actually has the last word in here. Oh, and Snow Crush Animist. That's actually a big include that Rhino played in his winning ETS Felon control list. He was playing a single Snow Crush Animist, and he was specifically playing it for the aggro and Shimmer Pack type matchups, where the card can be very useful in cleaning up all the tokens.
Yeah, like he was saying this whole weekend, like Felon really improves post board in every matchup. Like now he gets Sabotage to be able to deal with the relics, gets Backlash to a Scouting Party, he gets the Snow Crush Animus and Last Word to deal with the late game like we saw last one, and goes up to 4 Champion of Cunning to put on some aerial pressure and fly over for the win.
And I love this 4 Champion of Cunning inclusion because of course Toth is going to take his Vanquishes out for the most part, and we actually see him right at the end slipping one Vanquish back into his deck. But he does go ahead and pull out some of his Vanquishes, and that's pretty key here because these Champion of Cunnings will be a way for Rhino to hopefully close the game out, just making really big units on a really big board.
Yeah, Toth only has like 2 Desert Marshals, like he has 4 copies of Desert Marshal, but like 2 Desert Marshals in a row to silence it, or one of his 3 Scorpion Wasps is the only real answers to Champion of Cunning.
Yes, very true. So we will be jumping into game 2 here.
One thing to note also from Toth's side is that he gets to go up to 3 stand togethers, which are very crucial against lightning storms and withering witches and such things.
Yeah, stand together at a Toth makes the matchup. It makes it a little easier on him. Not that the matchup isn't already in his favor, but the stand togethers, as we've seen over the last couple matches, have been very crucial in dealing with a lot of this.
So Toth looking at a very powerful but very slow hand here. We'll see if he decides to keep it.
Yeah, we'll see if he's feeling like he can afford to have a slow early game. And since Rhino is playing Felm control, I think there's some argument that you could play a slow game, but Toth seems like he wants to get his game plan rolling quicker than that.
Yeah, the worry is that you don't draw any power for a while, and your opponent plays a Steward of the Past into a Champion of Cunning and just kills you.
Yeah, and we're gonna see Rhino here on turn 1. Go ahead and grab the Primal.
Yeah, so he has double Primal, double Shadow now, which is all he needs until the last word at 9 power. But the interesting thing from Sir Rhino in the early game here is going to be when he wants to fire off this Sabotage. And I think on turn 3, right before Toth hits the power for Xenon Obelisk, is when he's going to want to play that.
Yeah, I was thinking turn 3 myself. A lot of Toth's really key spells, including Great Parliament, which he's holding, do get played at 4. And there's not too much outside of his early units that he can really snake in. So probably going to see about a turn 3 Sabotage coming out of Rhino, and we'll see what cards Toth has in his hand at that point, because we're already seeing Great Parliament, which is already a really good pull.
Yeah, and that's the only one right now. But Serrano would take Xenon Obelisk over that.
Yeah, I would assume he would want the Xenon Obelisk, but Parliament not necessarily terrible. Like, that is a card that can be hard for Rhino to deal with. In fact, did kind of cost him the game last game. There, those 2 owls are just too much for him. Though the Xenon Obelisk did help quite a bit.
Yeah, so now Serrano sees that Toth's hand is all units and power.
Yeah, and it's interesting that he can't see. Ooh, there's the scouting party. That feels a little bit bad. You probably would have preferred to get that scouting party currently. Although Rhino
I'm
does
not
have a
sure
lightning
he would
storm.
have. He
So.
does have a Lightning Storm and knows Toth doesn't have a Xenon Obelisk. So there's no worry of Toth playing 2 Xenon Obelisks and getting those Yetis out of range of Lightning Storm.
Yeah, very true. The lightning storm will most likely clean them up. Then it's curious to see if Toth is going to feel like this, or rather, Rhino is going to feel like this trade is good enough. And I think he considered it, but he realized that he's going to hang out and wait for that scouting party to come up.
Yeah, just waiting around is going to be good for Rhino most times. So sometimes against Shimmer Pack, it's not good just because they can draw multiple obelisks and kill you. But when you have the Withering Witch Lightning Storm combo, you don't really have anything to fear.
Yeah, Withering Witch Lightning Storm able to take care of most units. Though I will say, we did touch on it. Stand Together. It's one of those things you have to watch out for. Like, it's very easy for him to just be able to wait for the Withering Witch to go off on his units, and then wait for the Lightning Storm to be on the stack and Stand Together, protecting them from the Lightning Storm and rebuffing them so that the Withering Witch effect isn't nearly as useful.
So Toth is choosing not to play Scouting Party here. Like, he's very afraid of losing his whole board to a Lightning Storm.
And, as he should be. And Rhino here with an interesting turn. Like, Rhino's considering whether or not he actually needs to fire off this Sabotage. Like, just a few turns ago when he sabotaged, he saw that Toth wasn't holding anything except that one Great Parliament. So he's kind of worried about firing it off and just hitting a blank.
Yeah, another thing to consider is that maybe you wait until a crucial turn to Sabotage to see if your opponent has a Stand Together or not before going for your board clear combo.
Yeah, that is very true as well. It is important to actually make sure that this Withering Witch Lightning Storm does go off fully. I feel like Rhino is correct though here, and I like this pull from him. He really
Yeah,
needs to just like get. He needs to get information, and he also needs to not just waste his whole turn. Like, this at
yeah.
least feels a little bit better.
The waste of turn argument is what I'm considering. Like, Sir Rhino is almost certainly just going to ultimate the Felon Bloodcaster next turn. So that means that'll be 2 more turns before he casts that Sabotage. And by that point, Toth might have emptied all of the spells out of his hand.
Yeah, Find the Way here. Nice little pickup for Toth. And so here's an interesting question for you. At what point, when your opponent has Find the Ways in hand, and they have Find the Ways, so he's going to be at 8 power, though it is depleted, when do you have to resign yourself to Lightning Storming the current board?
Yeah, I think you have to do it now. Otherwise, Shimmer Pack just beats you. No, Shimmer Pack does not beat you, actually, because you can block one of the Shimmer Packs, take 12, and then Withering Witch Lightning Storm. So I think you actually don't even need to clean up the board here. You can wait until Toth commits the actual card Shimmer Pack.
Wow, and we see Rhino actually picking up a Sandstorm Titan off of Toth's deck.
It's kind of humorous. Well, I mean, Sandstorm Titan is good, so why not put it in Felon control?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm sure Feln would play Time just for Sandstorm Titan if it could fit the requirements easier.
Yeah, so Sir Rhino gets to play another Bloodcaster plus his choice of whatever absurd 2-drop, whatever absurd 4-drop he wants between Steward and Sandstorm Titan.
Yeah, and
And he doesn't really have to fear Vanquish. Like I'm sure that he knows Takata's Vanquishes. So like Sandstorm Titan isn't going to get killed by any one removal spell.
no, I do like the Sandstorm Titan. There is also an element to like holding back their card from them and like making them think it's even worse. Like it's possible Rhino can like bluff a Shimmer Pack or something of that scale and keep Toth on his toes, worried about it. So committing the Sandstorm Titan gives him the information of what card was picked up, but at the end of the day, it's a 5/6 Sandstorm Titan. Like the Darude is big, he does big things, he has endurance, and that's pretty darn good on this board.
Yeah, I think at this point, Sir Rhino can actually go for just developing all of the units in his hand, and then use Lightning Storm Withering Witch to wipe out Toss board and just kill him with 2 big alpha.
Yeah, and we see Toth trying to figure out what he's gonna do here. He's looking like he's gonna fire the Shimmer Pack off now that he got the silence in, and it's interesting because the Shimmer Pack is actually surprisingly not as impactful as you would hope without an obelisk here. In fact, 3 of his units are just going to get traded away immediately if Rhino even wants to.
Interesting that he transformed the Felon Bloodcasters into 4/4s. Like, sure, the 2/5s could block a 4/4 Shimmer Pack, but but now they can trade if they want to.
Yeah, and this is very interesting. Rhino more or less going along with kind of what I was saying, where he's just gonna go for this Lightning Storm Withering Witch, but he does respect that he could have died to stand together there, so he forced himself to at least block one of the units.
Yeah, well, Toth actually was had no power available, so he couldn't stand together.
Oh yeah,
And I think
very
Rhino
true.
just wants to keep some pressure on the board. Like now he's got a 2 or 3 turn clock on Toth if Toth doesn't have a way to repopulate the board. But I mean, he knows Toth has scouting party, and now that Toth has finally gotten that lightning storm out of Sir Rhino, like maybe this is when he pulls the trigger on it.
Yeah, and he definitely will get the scouting party down here. I'm quite sure that's enough though. Like it's good, but he's really looking for something kind of more than that.
And Toth plays the seat, so Rhino knows that Toth doesn't have anything.
Yeah, it plays the seat down, and it was undepleted. So Rhino here trying to kind of take a little bit of the aggression here in this matchup, holding the Annihilate so he can take off one of the tokens to make sure it doesn't draw a card, and just getting more of his units down. So he's kind of leaving this on top to find an answer.
Yeah, and Toth's deck is not a high density of answers. And Sandstorm Titan, like it's a good card, but with a Steward of the Past already down for Sir Rhino, it's not gonna give Toth particularly good attacks.
Yeah, not particularly, and we see Rhino has the Annihilate, so it's not even particularly like he's worried about taking care of the Titan itself.
Yeah, so I mean, Rhino is at a precarious health total, but he's looking okay. He's just one card draw spell away from perhaps being able to pull away with the game.
Yeah, very true. And he just keeps picking with these Shimmer packs. I'm wondering if you're Toth, if at some point you are going to have to attack with all these Yetis just to try and get a card draw.
Yeah, so this is actually lethal damage if Toth had a stand together on that last attack, but he didn't. So Sir Rhino is going to get a little bit more aggressive even now.
Yeah, he is going to get in, and he will have the Champion of Cunning to come down next turn. We'd have the Scorpion Wasp out of Toth, so that'll at least take care of one of the 4/4s, but that's not going to be
That's
enough.
one more Scorpion Wasp that's not around for this Champion of Cunning.
Yeah, exactly. Like this Champion of Cunning has just buffed all his units, and unless Toth hit like a sweeper or a Shimmer Pack here, I'm pretty sure that's going to be it. And actually, even with the Shimmer Pack, he will go down since the Champion of Cunning has Aegis on it.
Yeah, I think that it's just going to be it. So Sir Rhino actually not dead to stand together. He just go down to 1. So yeah, I think Sir Rhino has this game.
Yeah, and he does. So Rhino able to pull back another close game. Once again, like showing how well he can pilot this Felon control list. So we should be jumping into game 3 just a second. Unless Toth hit anything, and with that scouting party off the top, no. And Rhino gonna go ahead and just for a little bit of
Tormcrash,
flavor, yeah, get that.
just for the run-ins. Well, I mean, it also plays around Scorpion Wasp, so I mean, it's definitely you definitely play it.
Yeah. I guess you do play it probably to play around the Scorpion Wasp. Although I will say, I mean, if you're Toth, you assume it came in, but I kind of do like when you have sideboard cards in your deck, not revealing them if you don't have to. But
Yeah,
Rhino making sure he wins the game there, and I mean, definitely like a solid play there. Just to make sure that no Scorpion Wasp or anything like that are gonna screw with your board, make it so that it's not actually a done deal. So we will jump back into some sideboarding. Let's take a look at what these players have got. And I'm already seeing yeah, we had the sabotages, the Snow Crush Animist out of Rhino. What about Toth? What can Toth go ahead and bring in here? Probably saw, yeah, I think we'd seen the protects come in, the extra stand together, obviously. Maybe the extra copy of Shimmer Pack, like you had said, Ace. Kind
yeah.
of
I
like
actually
that.
don't even hate permafrost. Like sometimes the Serrano will have a big flying unit, like a Black Sky Harbinger or a Champion of Cunning, and you can lock it down with permafrost.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily against the permafrost either. Like sometimes you just need an answer to those units. You need to keep them off the board. So
Yep, and looks like there's minimal sideboarding adjustments because we are already jumping back into game 3 here.
yeah, jumping into game 3 here, checking out these players' hands. Out of Toth, definitely going to be a redraw there. Nothing too exciting. And his redraw, ooh.
Missing Justice Influence,
Also,
and Serrano has a hand of it has power and it has spells, but it doesn't really do anything. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Serrano throw this back.
yeah, also notably for Toth, while he's also lacking justice, he's lacking that second time to get the scribe to start cycling.
True, yeah. Cycling a couple times does fix most power issues, and he can't even do that. So Toth, we have to hope that he draws a timer of justice here and is able to get some stuff down.
Yeah, he's really gonna have to get he's gonna have to get a sigil that he needs in his colors, either another time or that justice. And picking up a second temple scribe is not what he was looking. Rhino, on the other hand, just taking his time with his slow game plan. No need for him to rush into anything.
Yeah, he's gonna be able to play a Felon Bloodcaster on 3, and then have a couple removal spells, and then also he has Within Witch Black Sky Harbinger, which unless if your opponent does not interrupt it, sort of like intercept it in the middle with a Xenon Obelisk to pump the units to 2 health, can usually win the game for you. But Tough picks up the second time and is able to start cycling, so he should be in fine shape now.
Yeah, he should be in fine shape. He should eventually find power anyway. He is still having problems with that though, where he still has not found his fourth power. So, not great for him. He's holding a lot of high power cards, but he also doesn't have justice. He can't even get Seraph down and start pressuring with the Seraph.
Yeah, so Serrano is starting to pressure with Felon Bloodcaster, like pop Tough back down to 25.
Yeah, and it'll just matter here if Toth picked up another sigil finally. And he finally does. He hits a Combry banner. So that's going to put him online. He can actually start getting these threats down. So we're going to see if he fires off this Marison's Disciple or if he wants to get the Titan down.
Yeah, just an abundance of options for Toth now. Just 5 strong cards that he can play. Like he can play Seraph and Leave a Protect, can play the Titan, can play Disciple, can play Obelisk.
Yeah, very true. And he decides to go with the Marison's Disciple to get the Sandcrawler out. So actually nothing that can attack over. That's kind of interesting. Like I know most people default to taking the Sandcrawler, but in a board like this, I actually kind of like taking the low.
Just to start flying over. I guess the thinking is that Toth is going to play a Sandstorm Titan and ground it again next turn.
Yeah, probably. I think though next turn that opens you up to a line of play where you don't need to do that. You could just Xenon Obelisk on the next turn and like hold up a Protect if you hit a power.
Yeah, I think that Toth probably just wants to cast this Find the Way and start hitting power drops though, and just drop Night Chancellor Seraph probably. Like, sure, dropping Seraph opens you up to like a Withering Witch combo to clear off a lot of your units, but Toth's hand is just so stacked. I think sort of starting to force Rhino to have it isn't bad.
Yeah, Toth being power starved early, definitely not coming back to bite him as hard as you would have imagined late. The find the way pickup again, like that was really crucial here. Like Toth was in a situation where he might have been stuck at 4 power for a while, but now he's guaranteed to get to 6 and get that scouting party off. And Rhino on his turn, considering where or if he needs to put this annihilate somewhere.
I
And
think it will turn out poorly for him if he does, because he needs to save that for Sandstorm Titan. And ooh, Sabotage is able to hit an obelisk here.
yeah, this is pretty big for him. You have to imagine he'd take the obelisk, but it's actually possible he might need to. I don't think so. I don't think you can get rid of the Yetis here. Like you have the Black Sky Harbinger, so it's got to be obelisk, right?
Yeah, so Toph has shown great patience with deploying Scouting Party. Like last game, Rhino even knew he had it in hand most of the game, and Toph continued to not play it into Lightning Storm. So it's unlikely that Toph lets his Scouting Party Yetis get killed by the Black Sky Harbinger, but just delaying that by so much even is so valuable. And the way that you lose this matchup is by your opponent getting down a bunch of Xenon Obelisks and just overwhelming you with cheap, enormous units.
Yeah, so taking that Xenon Obelisk from him is going to be very helpful for Rhino. That was something he was definitely looking for. And Totsand, still extremely powerful. Like, he has the Seraph, he has the Titan, he has the Shimmer Pack, so he's got the cards he's looking for, but it does weaken his scouting party up a little bit.
Yeah, so Serrano opting to get a little aggressive here, annihilating the Sandcrawler and hitting for 2, but he's going to take 3 back, and then Toth is going to play a Sandstorm Titan or something here, and he's not going to have that Annihilate that he needs to deal with it.
Yeah, I have to imagine he's going to drop that Sandstorm Titan. And we do see Sandstorm Titan coming down for him. Uh, And now that you're Rhino, what do you want to be doing here? Like activate. You can't just activate Bloodcaster, but you are going to take some damage. You could fire off a Wisdom to hopefully go find a spell for the Titan, but we do see Toth has the Protect in hand, so
Yeah, maybe you just ultimate the Bloodcaster since it's the most power efficient. The next turn you can like Wisdom plus Witch. He
yeah,
goes for Wisdom though.
yeah, quite possibly.
Ooh, and Lightning Storm is a big pickup there. Oh, and Deathstrike. Wow, just 2 amazing, perfect cards for Sir Rhino off of that Wisdom.
Yeah, really, the exact pair of cards he was really looking for there. So this will allow him to hopefully get this Black Sky Harbinger into play in a few turns, since he won't be as worried about holding it for the Witch.
So Rhino probably Death Strikes his Titan. Yeah, Death Strikes a Titan on attack. So will Toth spend his Protect on this?
Yeah, and we do see him spend the Protect, so that's interesting. I'm curious to see what Toth will actually do with his other 6 power. Then, like you can't fire off a scouting party. I feel like now that your Protect is down, so just gonna opt to pass it here. Ooh, and Rhino picking up Last Word. This could be the way that Rhino finds to close out the game.
Yeah, if you can. So after he clears the board with this Withering Witch, if Toth only has 1 unit to reload and not something like Scouting Party, the last word is going to kill that, and then Toth is going to be having to throw a unit to the last word every single turn, or he will lose instantly.
Yeah, he will be in top deck mode. So this is Rhino's way to get out of this game. And Rhino here deciding, ooh, and I kind of like this. Like he is going to do the Withering Witch Lightning Storm combo here. And what he's trying to do here, not only clear the board, but he's trying to bait Toth into a sense of security where Toth feels like he can establish this scouting party next turn. And that will get horribly eaten up by this Black Sky Harbinger.
Unfortunately for Rhino, Toth instead has 2 owls off the Great Parliament.
Yeah, exactly. So not really having it, though. I have a feeling, since we've seen this multiple times, we will see Rhino trying to bait here. Though, actually, yeah, sorry, the Black Sky Harbinger isn't enough, so it probably will actually just hang back then. And Island's favored, not what you're looking for. That will get him to the last word, but in the meantime, he's going to have to find a way to answer these owls.
Yeah, the last word isn't even particularly good here. I suppose you can kill one of the owls and then block the other one with Black Sky Harbinger, but then that means that you have to just let your opponent's scouting party go unchecked. So like Rhino can't play the Black Sky Harbinger. Oh,
Yeah,
he picks up Snow Crush damage there, which is another answer to scouting party. So now he can Black Sky Harbinger.
yeah. Now he can get that Black Sky Harbinger down, or alternatively, he can't get the Snow Crush Animus down. Though it'll kill Seraph and it'll stun the owls, and maybe that's going to have to be enough.
Yeah, I guess killing Seraph is super important because Toth is at 8 power now. So maybe you do have to Animist first and then Black Sky Harbinger.
Yeah, and we see Seraph activate. Let's see what comes out of this. Ooh, 10-8 Sauropod.
Ooh,
Jeez.
a Withering Witch. This is pretty good. So Rhino is 1 power short of Witch plus Harbinger, but he will buy the turn that he needs with Snow Crushed Animus, stunning all of these giant units.
Yeah, true. He's gonna hopefully be able to get in with this. And okay, so he's stunned the units. He's cleared the Seraph. If you're Toth, what are you gonna reload with here? You get this Marissan's Disciple down, and then I think you get Marissan's Disciple down on Toth's turn. You're gonna get the you're gonna go ahead and get the Locust, and you're gonna try and put 10 through in the air.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the plan. That gives you lethal damage in the air, and it forces Rhino to Black Sky Harbinger, which frees up your scouting party.
Yeah, and let's see. And unfortunately, that Temple Scribe hitting a is that seat? Yeah, depleted seat since he's lacking power. So Toth is going to have to either make the decision to fire off the scouting party or go with this Marison's Disciple. And I definitely like this Marison's Disciple for the 2/2 Locust and just present lethal with your flyers.
Yeah, if he plays the party, then Rhino's going to be able to gain 9 health with this Black Sky Harbinger and put him out of danger completely.
Yeah, if the party comes down, this Black Sky Harbinger is going to be. Although that will leave the Withering Witch a little bit lacking, though she can come down the next turn, and some of his worst units here can provide as decent blockers.
Yeah,
And
I mean, what I think is going to happen is that, oh, well, all right, none of it matters now because he can play Witch plus Harbinger. But what would have happened is the Harbinger would have held off one of the big flyers while the Snow Crush Animist held off the Twin Boot Sauropod. And then Last Word would have just slowly picked all those units off.
here we go. Once again, we see Rhino coming back alive in this match from seemingly the brink of elimination. It looks at this point like he might just pull this out here.
Toth needs some more Seraph magic, I think. Because the Shimmer Pack, like, well, it can downgrade a couple of these units. It isn't beating the board by itself.
Well, yeah, and that's an interesting thing too. Is like he has the last word here, so. Oh, and Toth has Stand Together, but that's not going to do anything.
That does not protect you from the last word.
No, it really doesn't. It's almost like Rhino's going to get the last word.
Man, Sir Rhino just playing his Felon Control deck down a whole gauntlet of bad matchups for him, losing game one every single time, and just always coming back. Brilliant sideboard, just brilliant play from Sir Rhino.
Yeah, Rhino really just showing he is a master of this Felon Control deck. Like he knows the ins and outs of this, and he played both of these last two matches we've seen him in absolutely perfectly, coming down to the wire in games and coming down to the third match every time. And normally, you're right, he goes down in the first game, and then his sideboard plan and his ability to pilot the deck just it proves what a strong player he is. And he was able to come back here and actually eliminate Toth, the defending champion.
Yeah, just all the little things here. Like in this last turn, he didn't even swing with Black Sky Harbinger, so that Toth couldn't flash in a ambush in a Scorpion Wasp and kill his last word. Like he was willing to forsake some damage and trade his Harbinger with the Scorpion Wasp to preserve his relic weapon.
Yeah, exactly. And that was awesome. Like props to Rhino. And this is why I had him as my fan pick of today for production. Like I went with him yesterday. I said the same thing yesterday when we talked about it after the stream, and I'm sticking with him, man. I'm doubling down on Rhino. He looks like he's got the skill to bring this home. Like his deck some people don't think it's the best for the tournament. Even I don't actually think it's the best for the tournament, but this is where his skill as the pilot comes in. He has proven time and time again so far that he has what it takes.
Yeah, Sir Rhino, he has the heart of a champion. Let's see if he can follow through and get the badge of a champion.
Man, what a game there. What an excellent game. I am loving these Rhino Felon Control games. Like, this is great. We are seeing some awesome games come out right now. I think we are going to cut to a very short break, though. Probably be back in just a few minutes while we get the next game queued up. Our next match should be Kampf Kroat against Bobbert Joe. So Kampf Kroat